Good morning, good morning. Welcome to our Talks with Anthony. Today we're going to have a separate conversation. For those that are new to the channel, we make mental health conversations and content that's going to be beneficial to your personal development in addition to your well-being, right? But in today's conversation, we're going to be talking about gratitude doesn't erase struggle, it reframes it, right? So many people think gratitude means pretending everything's okay. I just got to, I just got to appreciate everything that's going on and just, But I really want us to understand that let's normalize this experience. You're not the only ones going through it, but I really want people to understand that gratitude is very important for us to kind of, you feel me? Get back to the present, really, persevere through whatever the struggle is in regards to that difficulty, right? We're all going to go through seasons in life that's just going to fluctuate. So I just want us to understand that when we start having a positive mindset, focusing on good things, the blessings, and all the good things that, opportunities, etc., that happen to our lives, right? Even if it happened in the past or, if it's relevant within the year, right? We can essentially kind of increase our vibration, our frequency, our energy to get back to that positive altitude. So I really want us to understand that, right? So in regards to normalizing the experience, like I said, during difficult seasons, gratitude can feel unrealistic or even like it's forced. Like, it's not prone to you because, like I said, it may not be a part of your regimen in regards to practice. But like I said, when we start looking at this technique in regards to, like I said, the positive mindset, it can really make a difference, right? So people often feel guilty because they think that, they should just be grateful. But I want us to understand as well that it is possible to appreciate both, parts of acknowledging the difficulty and also to acknowledging, like I said, having that gracious gratitude of, appreciation, right? In that sense of the blessings that, happen to you, right? We all are going to have hiccups, like I said in various videos, like life is not Candyland. So it ain't going to be sweet every single day, but we got to also, like I said, maintain that positive mindset to kind of go through that, push us through that struggle, and that can really help us with that positive mindset. So when it comes to some psychoeducation, the brain naturally pays more attention to potential threats than positive experiences, right? So that's, like I said, that's the tendency of that negative bias. So we're always craving negativity. We're always craving, the drama, et cetera, et cetera. But like I said, let's get a grip of that self-awareness. Let's understand why do we, linger to all those things. Why do we do what we do, right? And some of us, like I said, we just need practice. Some of us just need motivation. Some of us just need support, right? So let's really get ourselves and take action so we can get the outcomes that we need, right? So gratitude can help, like I said, shift our, our attention, like I said, but we can get more of a supportive, experience without, like I said, denying that hardship, but like I said, trying to keep ourselves positive in that sense, right? So regular, like I said, that gratitude practice is going to help us get more associated with that positive well-being that we want, stronger relationships, and even, like I said, increase resilience as we're trying to push through a difficult situation in our life, right? So gratitude doesn't mean, like I said, changing your circumstances overnight, like you could just snap your fingers type of thing. It just, like I said, it's going to help you have a different lens or different perspective towards your situation of that difficult season or that moment that you're going through, right? So moving forward in regards to practical reframe, right, seeing the whole picture can really help us out. Like I said, when we're looking at things with a more positive perspective, right, we got to realize to ourselves and really acknowledge to ourselves, like, yo, we may be going through this, but this don't define us. We may be going through something, but this is temporary. You feel me? We may be going through something with this, but like I said, we can navigate through it, right, with a positive mindset. Like I said, we're all going to be going through different struggles. We all come from different parts of the world, of the way that we reason, our perspective, culture, etc. But like I said, with a positive mindset, having more compassion about, the situation, what we got going on, right, and really seeking like positive moments that really allowed us to, that feel good about ourselves can really make that difference, right? And only you know what you're going through in your life, and you're navigating, you're walking, in your journey, right? But like I said, why don't you take the time to have that moment for yourself, right? Appreciate yourself, celebrate yourself, right? A lot of us out here, we're so prone to get up and go. It's fast life, a lot of things going on, a lot of information coming in our brains, but let's slow down, let's sit down, right? And let's acknowledge ourselves with that gracious gratitude. This is very important, y'all, right? So I want to provide some, like I said, practical reframes in regards to, like I said, helping us get that better perspective. So gratitude and struggle can, like I said, coexist at the same time. We can have something bad going on. We can also have something good going on. You feel me? We can put them together and they can collaborate. We can, So let's really marinate that, right? In addition to that, too, you don't have to, like I said, choose between acknowledging, like I said, the pain and just focusing on the bad all the time. You can also, too, like I said, try your best to get yourself on that positive frequency if you can focus on the good stuff as well, right? So this is something that, like I said, with the self-awareness, writing things down, slowing down, right? Really having, that insightfulness, that passion for yourself, really allowing yourself to understand what's going on. This can help you, persevere once again. But like I said, gratitude is not toxic positivity. It's just a balanced awareness. We want to be able to, like I said, slow down, debrief. Yeah, we going through this right now, but I've been through darker days, and I navigated through. Like, really encourage yourself, really push yourself, right? So some examples I also want to be able to provide for you as well is like being grateful, or gracious to yourself in regards to, like I said, you have supportive friends, while you're navigating through that grief. Appreciate your health while you're managing stress, right? Some of us, like I said too, let's be real. You may be going through something, but someone else out there is going through something totally worse. You know what I mean? Someone out there is totally sick, and you feel me? They're tore from the floor, right? So we gotta at least, you're breathing. You feel me? You're able to walk. You have mobility, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, I really want people to understand, like, peace of mind is something that is very important, right? You could be, you feel me, at the top of the top and wealthy, and you could still be down bad. You could be broke, and you could still be down bad. But at the end of the day, your peace of mind and how you talk to yourself, that relationship that you have with yourself, all this materialist stuff don't even matter. You feel me? So it's about the relationship, about the connection. But I really want you to have that connection with yourself, because you're navigating through this life with yourself. You know what I mean? So be more kind to yourself. Be thankful, be around the positive people, you feel me? Like, the environment really plays a difference. But like I said, develop this relationship with yourself in regards to that awareness, and have that total balance. That's going to be beneficial, right? Also, too, feeling thankful for small moments of laughter during, like I said, a week or difficult season, right? Try your best to watch positive videos, motivational videos, things that are going to give you laughter, like give you joy, happiness, you feel me? Like, do those things as well. Recognizing your own resilience, even facing uncertainty, right? Some of us out here come up from dysfunctional dynamics. Some people said you ain't going to be, you feel me? Some people said you ain't gonna amount to, you feel me? Some people said you ain't gonna pour into you feel me? But you somehow believed in yourself, and you navigated through with support, or you just did it off your own willpower. So I really want you guys to understand, like, boost yourself up. Because you guys are, you the real deal. You're the superstar. The whole time you are the superstar, but it's the way that you talk to yourself. It's the relationship that you have with yourself. But we have to practice, like I said, this gratitude, and not just waiting for when it happens, like bad things happen to us, and we're just like, I got to do this, and I got to get myself on this. No, like, let's really work our way into having practice in regards to this being a lifestyle, right? And adding it into our daily routine, and this can really make a difference, right? So when it comes to micro action, we know better, we tend to what? Tend to do better. So, first thing I want us to take into consideration is, like, think about one challenge that you're facing today, right? Be real to yourself, you know what I mean? Without minimizing that struggle, I want you to ask yourself as well, follow up, right? What is one thing that you're gonna, that you could do to be able to support yourself right now? Gratitude, you feel me? Let's get to it. And I really want you, like I said, to take into consideration, like, have that moment to really be intentional with acknowledging it, right? Sit down on a bench, go to a beach, pond, or you take a walk around the block. Like, do whatever's going to be beneficial for you to really get yourself into a conducive environment. But really, like I said, acknowledge yourself, you feel me? Where you at, acknowledge your blessings, acknowledge the person that's waking up every single day, going to work, still pushing through. Some of us out here have kids, you feel me? You know what I mean? Whether you have support or you don't have support, like, you're pushing through. But, like, I really want us to understand, like, we gotta take action. We gotta really, like I said, develop this rapport with ourselves, right? In addition to this, I want to provide some examples, right? So, a person who checked on you, what's up? You know what I mean? A safe place to rest. The ability to keep showing up, and also to take into consideration, a peace, a spot where you're able to find peace, to be able to, like, you know what I mean? To kind of rest, to kind of restore yourself from a busy day. So there's areas, like I said, that you can find the time to be able to get this gratitude. You can reach out to connected loved ones, right? Getting yourself around positive people that's going to be able to pour back into you, right? Once again, people out there that come up from dysfunctional dynamics, we got to take action. We got to seek the support. We got to go 2 times as hard on self-care. You feel me? We got to love ourselves. We got to be kind to yourself, right? Through this world, there's a lot of things going on. People hurt people. You feel me? A lot of people out here struggling, but we got to seek positivity to help us navigate through these difficult moments, right? So in regards to wrapping up this video together, like I said, gratitude isn't about just, the absence of struggle. We don't just want to run to this when we're going down bad. Let's make this a part of our routine, because you'll be surprised, like I said, the more practice you do, when you're going through difficult situations, you already have the sustainability, you have the skills, you have the mindset, you feel me? You built up the tolerance. So it's like, I'm not going to say everything's going to be just easy, but it's going to be more manageable for you. You feel me? So I really want us to, like I said, compare, contrast, build this self-rapport with ourselves, right? And the practice of recognizing that struggle is not the full story. You feel me? We're able to take control of that narrative, control of the story, and control of ourselves and our lives. You feel me? And really make that impact by, like I said, having gratitude. If you found this video beneficial, give it a thumbs up, share if possible, and I'll see you on the next one. Stay blessed.